Jumani said, "Me teach me and go good Ashanti for now." We did. On one crop for go good Ashanti. Let me say, we need you mupi and so said the Mameti and Messa introduce you. The leader will die for a delegation, Mr. Stephen Bailey. Only Executive Vice President for Sustainability for Angogo Ashanti Global. The hotel may change so on MD or Obuasi my and your best man. You are also being Ambassador Masu, also a Senior Vice President for Sustainability Global. You are also being Terry Briggs, also a Senior Vice President for your operations in Africa. And I'm an obedient. I'm saying if you are not free, but I'm saying we're calling to a manager for sustainability for Africa. So, and Kezia, you kwesi enyanba, and Nabaha Prepi, and Edmond so the DBR number. But also calling him Yadaroma, to also name a community relations manager or that Obuasi and Mrs. And the able assistance back home, Masi. I'm say, and I'm an Bonan Casadi, Major Ediama, the senior executive vice president. But my points, never say, ye buy no ye kuta and sapai, ye kuta snap pin to me, Brunisa, Doko no so, Adakabako. And a game of Mamma coins in Kuta, only a boom, my dear. Achiami boom, my dear, and Nanano so boom, my dear. I'm saying, Mestre say, my country, but the dear corner, Mestre and Maputonka. Now that we finished with the introductions, I'm going to hand over to the leader of our delegation, Mr. Stephen Bailey, to give the team his briefing. Thank you.
We look to you for your guidance, for your wisdom, and if I might reflect back on the events of this past week. Majesty, as you know, the Obuasi mine has at various points in its very long life, and in particular since Anglo Ashanti was formed in 2004, battled to make a sustainable business of this operation, and has required perseverance both on our part and on the part of all the various stakeholders that depend on this very important and iconic mine for their survival and for their continued prosperity. In 2016, Majesty, when I know that my predecessors at Anglo Gold spent much time in this room seeking your support and intercession, you will know that an invasion of illegal miners over that time caused us to stop the mine when our late and beloved colleague John Obuasi was killed on the first day of that invasion. We very happily celebrated the reopening of that mine in 2020 when we poured the first gold. And although we've had a few false starts, and we've persevered and will continue to persevere to make this mine live up to the great promise of this great ore body. Last week on Saturday, there was an incident at the mine which I think has received wide publicity, and there are processes underway through the government to investigate that incident. But the first and most important thing I would say is our deep felt condolences to the people who were affected, either deceased or injured in that event. Any loss of life is, frankly unacceptable, and we will wait for processes to play out. We have, as per a directive from the President, His Excellency President Manhyia, intervened to take care of the health and funeral expenses of those, the health expenses of those injured, and the funeral expenses, Majesty, of those deceased. And that is something we have made great progress with, and will continue to make sure until we've discharged that obligation after the President's directive. We would like to thank both the Manhyia Palace and Majesty you for your communication over this period through your through the people in the palace, and the government for being very supportive of us over this time as we face this this newest challenge. If I might provide an update on where we are at the moment, Majesty, is that it's been calm for the last week. We had placed the mine on limited operations, largely because of the, as you know, any threat to any of our employees, community members, we take very seriously. And with the mine on limited operations, we could reduce the movement of people and reduce risk. And so we did that immediately on Sunday. And that persisted all through yesterday, when we managed to have a shift change and start a staggered resumption towards normalcy in the coming days. We've received excellent support from the government through the National Security Coordinator, through the Minerals Commission, and through various stakeholder meetings that we've had this week. We're very pleased that there's been a very supportive and, in our view, a very responsible posture taken in order to get this important mine back on its feet. We met yesterday with the Chief Imam for Ghana in Accra, and we have been assured of his support in creating and deepening a dialogue with our stakeholders locally to ensure that we can have a lasting peace, and from this tragedy that we can have a meaningful and improved way forward with our stakeholders. Majesty, as we've spoken about before in this room, and my colleagues have spoken about, the issue of illegal mining as opposed to artisanal and small-scale mining, which is very much part of the social and economic fabric in this country. Illegal mining poses an existential threat to large-scale mining and small-scale mining alike in Ghana and on the broader subcontinent. And it is something that we are very eager, as you know, to continue to engage with stakeholders on, to find a lasting solution that would be acceptable to the widest range of stakeholders possible. And in that, Majesty, we seek your ongoing support. We thank you again for your support thus far. And once more, thank you for receiving us today.
In relation to that, I'm also informed of the support that national security is being given to you and all that. I also had a briefing from the Army, the General Officer Commanding also about developments in the way they've put up security there.
Yo.
I'm also aware of the threats to your employees also. I've been briefed about that, and therefore that also the steps that you've taken to make sure that your workers and employees are also protected.
Yo.
Unfortunately, we don't have a minister for lands now. He's gone through vetting, because that's also another step where we will discuss broadly with the government in terms of policy in relation to illegal mining. The Galamsey issue also is another one. So I know that will come up after the minister is in place, and then we have a very candid and thorough meeting with the president and the minister to see the way forward in relation to dealing with that.
Yo.
I recall in 2016 where this issue came up at that time, and I'm also saying that we should see the portion of about 60 acres or whatever to the illegal miners at that time and all that. In fact, there were vibes that even though Anglo Gold honored its part, the portion didn't go to the people that were supposed to go to. And even though that was done, Anglo Gold honored their part in that, and we ceded the 60%, 60 whatever acres to whatever. So this all has been lingering, and people arguing that it didn't come to us, so we didn't have anywhere to go.
Yo.
That is also not acceptable for people to take the law into their own hands to go and disturb legitimate business, which Anglo Gold and Obuasi are intertwined. The community relies on the mining company. the mining company also is there because it's for the community, and that it is not acceptable. People cannot just say that because we want to eat, we have to go to the mine. No, that cannot be done. We are not living in a banana republic. The law must be obeyed. Because if I'm living in my house here, this lease has been given to me. Someone just cannot walk in to say, I also want somewhere to live, and therefore I'm coming to live in your house. So these are all issues that we have to take up with the government in relation to the way forward. What do we do with this galamsey issue? Unemployment and all that, yes, those are issues that we have to look at. So much as we have to look at it to see how best we can incorporate all these illegal miners, how can we bring them into the mainstream? If we can allocate portions of concessions to the leaders, the gang leaders, those supposedly who lead them, and say, okay, you operate there, bring all these people there, and then look at what gold they produce and arrange to buy also from them and all that. Mainly, we might find a way to resolve these things. But doing illegal mining must not, and it shouldn't be encouraged by anybody, not even the government, no matter what. And the change of government shouldn't give people the opportunity to say, because there's a change of government, we are going to misbehave or take the law into our own hands. That also should not be acceptable. We are living in a society where the law operates, and therefore I don't think this government would also encourage that to happen. And from what they've done so far within them, I know that they are not going to encourage that to happen, no matter what. So we all will try to find solutions to this. Yes, unemployment. Yes, illegal mining is not acceptable. If those young ones who are there want job, we have to all plan together and think together and see how best we can incorporate them into whatever that we can. But and then Asanko also had the same thing last year, where a lease signed legally by the government to them, like Anglo, and then people, illegal miners, also going there with impunity to mine. And I can see why the Minerals Commission, whatever, cannot take these things up. And so we all have to, make sure that things are done appropriately and properly. The new government has not settled. Therefore, like I said, the direction as to how we're going to look at it is also something that we all will take it up and discuss closely and dearly with. But the security will still protect you, and I'm sure that within the next month. I know there were lingerings there, but community-wise, we still have to be talking to the Sarkin Zongo in Obuasi, for example, because I'm told some of the people were Muslims, 7 of them also were Muslims, and therefore, psychologically, I'm sure they're also maybe planning whatever it is. I don't know yet, but if we engage them in the community development and everything, engagement and all that, we should find an amicable solution to that. And at the same time, your community relations also must be backed up so that you can be able to meet them. Unfortunately, I don't know about job creation over there now in Obuasi. How is it impacting on the community in relation to work? You cannot create employment for everybody, but your community relations must be heightened in such a way that they will have a clear understanding of what you're doing. It's not just that Obuasi is there and there's money there, and therefore we can develop the whole of Obuasi within one day. People should appreciate these things, and also because investments, the obligations to be met. And so the expectation from the community in relation to Obuasi is a big mine, the money should come to us. Well, that relation, we have to be able to bridge that bring education and everything for people to appreciate. What you have to do, you do. Community relations, you do schools, hospitals, and all those. All those things must be heightened for them to appreciate that this is what you do for the community. The royalties also, as it comes also, we should know how it's brought in the district assemblies, the metropolitan assemblies also, whatever monies go to them, what do they use it for the community? All these things must be done for people to know that their royalties, whatever going to the district assemblies, that's what they use for.
Yo.
Either for roads, for community schools and everything. So that people would appreciate that we are also benefiting indirectly from the operations of the community. I think one thing that you have to also look at going forward when the production goes again, it's the form of what Newmont did, where you set aside an ounce of something in terms of money and then form a development foundation together, Anglo and the community. So you get them involved and then they can decide if you want a hospital, if you want a school, if you want this. And that also will bring in the community involvement to understand and appreciate what you're doing.
Yo.
Newmont has done that and it's very successful. And it's there. So if we can be looking at all that in the way forward, it will be fine. So they have a blueprint. They set out an ounce of gold or something, that in value of money. And they've set up a foundation with the community people involved, all the communities, the people are involved, and then they decide what that money will be used for.
Yo.
When they invest. So they use it, they've used it for various. Set up a technical school there, very Totroso, Afrisipa and all those things. So they're all, it's more like we are all part of the Newmont operation.
Yo.
So if you look at it also that way, maybe the way for it. I know the operation has gone down a bit, but the time it will pick up because Obuasi is your flagship anyway. It's holding Anglo Gold seriously. It forms about 30-40% of your operations now. So it's a major asset to you. So let's look at it objectively on those lines also. And let us make sure that we involve the community in some form of foundation where we plan development programs together. Let them nominate some people from the community who will be part of that. Have for mind, they had Sarah Mensah and other people who were there. Indigenous people were well-educated people to meet with the community, and then they decided, together with Newmont, also appointing 1 or 2 people involved, and the way forward they've planned so much, aside the royalties, aside whatever they have to pay to them, and it's been doing well. So all those things could be done to bring the people, get them to have a feel of what the operations of Obuasi is and the benefits they are getting from it.
Yo.
And I believe that if we can be looking at that, it should work out properly for us all. But meanwhile, we would follow developments with keen interest. I will be in touch and see how best you can be protected to be able to do your work uninterrupted, no interference and everything. And if people want to mine illegally, not in your mine. If they want to do mine, they should. I think we have to group them and then also go to apply for concessions and do their mine, but not what has been allocated legally. And a company that's also invested, got investments and obligations to do, which internationally also, because if you are not very careful, internationally these news go out that if you invest in Ghana, you're being disrupted by illegal mining and everything. We cannot attract any investments at all. These are all issues that we all have to bear in mind. So we make sure that much as we want investments, we also have an obligation to protect the investments for people to appreciate that if you go to Ghana, you can do business there and then your investments are protected. So that we would also take it up from here and support you. So you can count on my support every time. And I know that it shall come to pass. Dead, those who died, whatever, I'm sure no one wants any human being to die. We don't want to lose any human being. And the circumstances like this, it comes and then there's nothing one can do about it. So they also have our condolences and everything. Anything that we can do to support them also, we could do. But again, legally, you have the right to operate, and we can't support any illegality. So thank you for bringing this to my attention. And I can assure you that I'll be following that with keen interest to see how best we can do it. So thank you very much for coming.